August 6th, 1945, the Japanese city of Hiroshima was destroyed when the United States dropped an atomic bomb, killing more than 200,000 men, women, and children. 70,000 died instantly, others due to radiation poisoning. 3 days later, another atomic bomb leveled the Japanese city of Nagasaki, killing 60,000 more men, women, and children. The resulting attack led the Empire of Japan to surrender to the Allied forces, bringing an end to World War II. Yet out of the ashes of these bombings will give rise to the atomic age of horror films, where now, instead of monsters like Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, the Wolfman, and the Mummy, we now get stories of giant bugs and aliens. It was a group of filmmakers from Japan, the country that experienced firsthand the cause and effects done by atomic weapons of mass destruction, that would go on to create the most famous and commercially successful series of monster movies. His name, Gojira, otherwise known as Godzilla. Now today, I'm going to reveal to you 12 of my favorite movies featuring this iconic character. This is my top 12 favorite Godzilla movies. Just don't expect to see that one on here. That doesn't count.
You stink!
Attention, attention! Godzilla is approaching downtown Tokyo. Attention, attention! All civilians still in the downtown area are urged to stay off the boulevards. Seek immediate safety in designated underground shelters.
Number 12. Shin Godzilla. Released in 2016, Shin Godzilla is a reboot of the series, detailing Godzilla's origins and the humans' response to the disaster. It has been said that TOHO, the company based in Tokyo that makes the Godzilla movies, named this film Shin Godzilla, meaning True Godzilla, due to TOHO not liking the 2014 American Godzilla film directed by British director Gareth Edwards, which jump-started the MonsterVerse franchise. On the contrary, TOHO liked that movie. They produced this film to celebrate the new attention that the film brought to the franchise. However, unlike the MonsterVerse Godzilla, which was more semi-heroic, noble, and majestic monster, this Godzilla would once again be depicted as a force of chaos and death. Also, this Godzilla is more a reflection of modern tragedies such as the September 11th terrorist attacks, as well as the tsunami and nuclear disaster that occurred in Japan in 2011. In fact, the first attack on Japan by Godzilla in his first form resembles that horrific disaster. Unlike many of the Godzilla movies, which were accomplished using a guy in a rubber suit, this Godzilla was accomplished with motion capture. Opening in 2016, Shin Godzilla was highly praised by Japanese critics. Western critics were kind of split. Nevertheless, Shin Godzilla was nominated for 11 Japanese Academy Awards, winning 7, including Best Picture and Best Director. Quite a remarkable achievement even for a Godzilla movie. You don't see that happening in the United States.
Have you ever seen a reptile nominated for the Oscars?
That's true. E.T. didn't either.
No, I can't remember when I saw a reptile.
No, Godzilla wasn't. Godzilla wasn't.
You see? Number 11. Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster. Released in 1964, it involves an extraterrestrial from the planet Venus, possessing the body of a princess, warning the human race that a monster named King Ghidorah is coming to cause destruction. Only Godzilla, Rodan, and Mothra can put a stop to him. Ghidorah was rushed into production by TOHO because Akira Kurosawa's Redbeard was going behind schedule and a replacement was needed for the New Year's holiday slate. The performer inside the King Ghidorah suit was hunched inside, holding onto a crossbar for support. The necks and tails and wings were operated by a team of 7 puppeteers. This was also a turning point for Godzilla, starting with this film and subsequent films in the first series of films called the Showa era. Godzilla would go from an embodiment of nuclear destruction to a kid-friendly super monster. Still, the monster fight between all the monsters is worth giving this film a watch. Sure, it's cheesy, but it's fun.
These monsters are as stupid as human beings.
Number 10. Godzilla Tokyo SOS. Released in 2003, the film involves Godzilla and Mothra going up against Mechagodzilla. The film's director, Mizaki Tezuka, was offered 4 different storylines, but rejected them all due to being too boring, so instead he wrote the story outline himself. There's really not much to say about this film. It's the same guy in monster suit beating each other up, but it still has enough to keep you entertained. Number 9. Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. Released in 1991, it involves time travelers from the future who warn Japan to prevent Godzilla's mutation, only to reveal their true motives by unleashing a 3-headed dragon that terrorizes the nation. In addition, the film also shows us the origin of Godzilla. Basically, he started out as a dinosaur called the Godzillasaurus. So when the atom bomb that was supposed to mutate the Godzillasaurus instead radiates 3 cute little dragons called the Dorats, the result is that the Dorats merged into King Ghidorah. At first, TOHO wanted to remake King Kong vs. Godzilla, but getting the rights to Kong was going to be next to impossible, so instead they decided on King Ghidorah. It was also TOHO's decision to add a more sci-fi element to the film's story, as their last film, Godzilla vs. Biollante, failed due to lack of children viewership. Still, it features one of the best monster fights of the entire series. Also, check out this nice little joke.
It did look like it was from another planet, but... Shall we report it, sir?
What, that we're being invaded by little green men from outer space? Let's just keep it as our secret. You can tell your son about it when he's born. Major Spielberg?
Clever. Number 8. Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. Released in 1974, Godzilla's 20th anniversary. An Okinawan prophecy appears to foretell Earth's destruction at the hands of Godzilla, only for the true Godzilla to reveal his doppelganger as a mechanical alien weapon. This was the first time Godzilla went head-to-head with Mechagodzilla, a sort of Terminator Godzilla before the Terminator. He's equipped with missiles on his head, toes, knees, and he can also shoot lasers and create a force field. It also features a monster called King Sisa, who wakes up when you sing to it. Not much to say, just watch it and have fun with it.
I'm gonna go back inside and take care of those bastards.
Number 7. Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah, giant monsters all out attack. Now that's quite a title, but it's also referred to by fans by its abbreviated title, GMK. Released in 2001, the film involves a reporter notorious for working on pseudo-documentaries, uncovering the legend of the three guardian monsters who must rise to defend Japan from the vengeful spirits within Godzilla. Unlike a good deal of other Godzilla movies, which uses aliens or mechanical themes, GMK uses a good deal of mystical themes. Not only does Godzilla serve as a representation of the nuclear weapon, but a representation of the men who died in the Japanese army during World War II. Still, the film features some really good effects work and pyrotechnics. Mothra is also very good looking, unlike previous films. Also, the film opens with a nice jab at the 1998 American Abomination.
The New York attack was Godzilla, right? That's what all the American experts claim, but our guys here have doubts.
Number 6. Godzilla vs. Mothra. Released in 1964, the film involves humans seeking assistance from an insect god, Mothra, to stop Godzilla from attacking Japan. Mothra had already appeared in her own movie. Following the success of that and the 1962 King Kong vs. Godzilla, TOHO decided to pair the two in one movie. Also, it was made in order to compete with television, which was already starting to make a big impact in Japan. It should also be worth noting that when the film was given a US visa, American International Pictures, who handled the distribution, changed the title to Godzilla vs. The Thing in order to generate curiosity and anticipation for the monster Godzilla would face. Though if you hear the name Godzilla vs. The Thing, your first knee-jerk reaction isn't a giant moth. It just goes to show you that Americans hate foreign films. They don't give the matter of a decent title any considerable thought. Number 5. Godzilla Final Wars. Released in 2004, the 50th anniversary of Godzilla. When a mysterious race of aliens arrive on Earth, the Earth Defense Force find themselves locked in battle with a variety of different monsters, and the only thing that can stop them is Godzilla. Since Godzilla Tokyo SOS failed to make any sort of a splash, TOHO decided to do one more movie before giving the King of the Monsters a much-needed rest. So for the occasion, they pulled out all the stops and gathered up as many of its monsters: Mothra, Rodan, Anguirus, Kumonga, Ebirah, Ghidorah, Manila, and even the American Godzilla, or as it's been redubbed, Zilla. The final monster is called Monster X, but surprise, it's King Ghidorah. Unlike a lot of Godzilla movies which tend to have a message, this is just a brainless monster mash of a movie. If you're willing to just turn your brain off and enjoy men in rubber suits beating the hell out of each other, then this is the film for you. Sadly, the film would get obliterated at the box office as it opened on the same day as The Incredibles. But rather than kill off Godzilla, they just show him walking off into the sunset with his son, showing us, the fans, that Godzilla is just resting, waiting to be revived. Number 4. Godzilla King of the Monsters, the sequel to Gareth Edwards' film. It involves humans relying on Godzilla and Mothra to fight against Rodan and King Ghidorah in a battle to be King of the Monsters. This film is directed by Michael Dougherty of Trick or Treat and Krampus. You can obviously see that he is a big fan of Godzilla, so much so he manages to use the original theme composed by Akira Ifukube. Since Gareth Edwards proved to American audiences that they can in fact make a decent Godzilla film after learning the lesson from the 1998 disaster, the sequel will take it up another step further and include 3 of Godzilla's popular opponents. The film also includes Kyle Chandler, Vera Farmiga, Charles Dance, Ken Watanabe, David Strathairn, and in her feature film debut, Millie Bobby Brown. Sadly, the film was not a box office hit, and critics hated it. The question I have to ask is, have any of these so-called critics ever seen a Godzilla movie? When I go see a Godzilla movie, I expect 3 things. 1 is Godzilla, obviously. 2, Godzilla fighting other monsters. And 3, Godzilla and or the other monsters destroying a city. This movie provided all 3, so I was satisfied with it. Number 3. Godzilla vs. Destoroyah, the last of the second series of films called the Heisei era. Godzilla is on the verge of death due to his heart, which acts as a nuclear reactor, melting down and threatening the lives of the whole world. At the same time, creatures known as Destoroyah emerge from the sea and change his form. Now the Japanese must stop them both. TOHO at this point had decided that Godzilla should finally die in this film, and it was marketed as an event. This was going to be Godzilla's final film. Then again, filmmakers have been using that approach for years. But anyway, this was so newsworthy that people just had to see it. Even the look of Godzilla glowing red is such a striking image. No CGI. The final appearance of Destoroyah is just epic. You almost expect Godzilla fighting Chernobog from Fantasia. Even the death of Godzilla is enough to make any fan cry. The images, even the music by Akira Ifukube gets to you as well.
I'm not gonna cry. I'm not.
Oh, sorry.
This was Ifukube's last film score, and he found this piece to be very difficult, that he wrote the piece as if he was writing the music to his own death. That's pretty deep. Number 2. Godzilla vs. Kong. Set 5 years after the events of Godzilla King of the Monsters, it involves Kong and Godzilla fighting. What more do you need? For many years, fans have wanted a remake of the 1962 classic King Kong vs. Godzilla. Thanks to the success of Gareth Edwards' film, it jump-started a franchise called the Monsterverse. The second installment of this franchise was Kong Skull Island, which introduced us to Kong. Unlike other versions of Kong, which has a Beauty and the Beast angle, this time Kong is connected to a deaf girl who can communicate with him through sign language. Godzilla and Kong duke it out for a good majority of the film. It's what fans have wanted and waited for ever since Godzilla was resurrected for American audiences. Originally scheduled for 2020, it was delayed due to the COVID-19 pandemic, so it was released a year later, simultaneously in theaters and on HBO Max. It broke several pandemic box office records, making $470 million worldwide. And as of this recording, a sequel involving Kong and Godzilla is in the works to be released on May 15th, 2024, the 70th anniversary of Godzilla. Now, before I reveal my number 1, I'm going to reveal to you only one honorable mention. The Return of Godzilla, mainly because it was the first Godzilla movie I ever saw, though the version I saw was the American recut, which included Raymond Burr, titled Godzilla 1985. Even though on this list I included the dubbed version of what Japanese audiences saw that doesn't include Raymond Burr, it's essentially Godzilla coming to Tokyo and destroying it. Only this time there's a Cold War angle to it. Nothing special for some fans, but I have a personal liking to this film. And my number one favorite Godzilla movie is Godzilla, the Japanese original, the one that started it all, the film that launched a franchise, the birth of a legend, or should I say, a god. Not only is this film Japan's response to the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki during World War II, but it's also a response to an incident involving a fishing schooner called the Lucky Dragon No. 5, in which its crew were contaminated by radiation following the detonation of a hydrogen bomb on the island of Bikini Atoll. Only the radio operator died as a result of radiation poisoning. This film is shot almost like a documentary, and Godzilla is the embodiment of the nuclear weapon. The images of people dying in hospitals, trapped under collapsed buildings, and the choir of girls almost crying to the world for peace shows us that these were the people who experienced the devastation of nuclear weapons of mass destruction. Unlike many Godzilla films on this list, this film treats it like a war movie, and the film's director, Ishiro Honda, shows his pacifist side. When the film was released, critics booed the film, calling it exploitive, but audiences didn't care. It was a major success. When it was shipped over to the United States, it was recut and included scenes involving Raymond Burr. But regardless, it's the Japanese cut of Godzilla that really shows us that Godzilla started out as a real evil threat. However, blaming him for his actions would be the same as blaming ourselves for the constant testings and detonations of nuclear weapons. It's a great cautionary tale and a downright great monster movie. Godzilla, my number one favorite Godzilla movie.